All right, moving on. In the United States of America, the battle between President Donald Trump and Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is heating up. Powell says that the Department of Justice has issued grand jury subpoenas to the Federal Reserve, threatening a possible criminal indictment linked to his congressional testimony last June. Powell also says that the testimony focused on the multi-year renovation of the Fed's historic headquarters, which he described as necessary infrastructure upgrades. Calling the legal action a pretext, Powell said it represents a dramatic escalation in pressure on the central bank.
The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president.
The move comes amid rising tensions between Powell and Trump, who has reportedly and repeatedly criticized the Federal Reserve for not cutting interest rates aggressively. Since the second half of 2025, the Fed has cut rates thrice, but Trump has argued that the reductions are insufficient and has blamed Fed policy for slowing America's economic growth. The White House has yet to officially respond on these subpoenas and has referred questions to the Justice Department. But Powell has warned that legal threats tied to monetary policy decisions risk undermining the Federal Reserve's independence, which is a cornerstone of American economic stability. Meanwhile, critics say that any attempt to intimidate or remove the Fed chair over interest rate decisions could weaken investor confidence and politicize the American monetary policy. The dispute now raises broader questions about the balance of power between the White House, the Justice Department, and the independent central bank.
This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment.
However, Trump said that he had no knowledge of the Justice Department's investigation into the Fed. But Trump also criticized the Fed chair, saying that Powell has, quote, hurt a lot of people. I think the public is pressuring him. Trump also blamed Powell once again for keeping interest rates too high. And our correspondent Susan Tehrani is joining us live on the broadcast from New York. Susan, the ongoing tussle between Donald Trump and Jerome Powell continues to get deeper. Any word from Donald Trump yet? It's morning there in United States. It's a few hours since Jerome Powell said that he's been issued subpoenas. Any word from the White House or Donald Trump himself on this?
The White House defers any comments to the Justice Department, and the Justice Department has put out a statement to some media outlets locally here in the United States, nationwide, saying that the United States government, the White House, is not going to allow for taxpayer dollars to be abused, referring to what basically Jerome Powell, they believe, at least in the preliminary stages of this investigation, has done with that new building that was very expensive. But nonetheless, he has been subpoenaed. There are threats and the possibility of criminal charges, although a subpoena does not mean that. It could not get to that. It also doesn't automatically mean that he'll be indicted. Really, it's at the first stages, but it does signal the seriousness of it for subpoenaing Jerome Powell.
Absolutely. Susan, thanks very much for joining us at the moment and getting us the latest. Of course, we'll have to wait and watch where this tussle finally concludes. Thanks very much.